This is a quick tutorial about different styles of tweezers. If you're a professional or even if you're just using them at home, it's good to know the difference between them. So we're going to chat very quickly about flat tweezers, angled, pointed, automatic, and these excellent ones that are great for doing individual eyelashes. So first of all, these are your standard flat tweezers. Everyone probably starts off using these ones, and once you really get into your different tweezers and you realise all the benefits of the different styles, you soon move on from these. There's really not that many professionals that like to use these as often as they like to use their angled and their pointed. But they are really simple to use, and they're great when you're just getting used to starting off, just keeping your eyebrows nice and neat. And all you need to do is you're just working flat against the skin, and you're just making sure that you don't pinch, but you're grabbing the individual hairs and removing them in the direction of hair growth. And then when it's time to clean them, if you've been doing your eyebrows and there's maybe 4 or 5 hairs in the tweezers, you just grab some cotton wool and give them a good wipe, just to make sure that any residue, any hair is going onto the tissue and not just staying within your tweezers. Remember, whether it's in the house or whether you're working as a professional, you want to make sure that you keep your tweezers clean before and after every use. Next tweezers are angled tweezers, probably the most popular for everyone, whether you're working in a salon or doing your own eyebrows or you're tweezing at home. The angle means that you can get onto the skin really nicely without pinching. It also means that you've got the point if you need it, so you can turn the tweezers round and they do become a nice pointed tweezer. Again, just remember that you're working with the direction of hair growth and not against. So same as before, when you're working on your eyebrows or any other areas, after every 4 or 5 removals of hair, give your tweezers a good wipe with your cotton wool to continue going, and then just make sure that you sanitise before and after use. But I must admit, these are my particular favourites, and you normally with most brands get your protective cover for them so that they don't go blunt or become dirty when they're in your makeup bags. So make sure if you've got the cover for them, you keep it on them all the time. These are pointed tweezers. Sometimes you will get pointed tweezers that actually aren't very pointed and they're pretty round at the edge. To be honest, they're useless. You need the ones that are very, very sharp at the top, but that also means that you have to be incredibly careful with them. So these are great if there's a tiny hair that's barely breaking the surface, or there's a hair that you might have accidentally snapped and you didn't get it out at the root when you were tweezing. The most important thing is to make sure these are clean. There's no way you can take a chance that you're cross-contaminating with the point if you're working from client to client, because there can be little spots of blood or any other sort of liquids that are on the surface. You really want to make sure that you're keeping them extra clean between clients. The other really important thing with these is don't go in and dig. So if there's an ingrown hair, you might want to go in with your tweezers and just absolutely dig in at the skin. You could end up causing scarring, you could make it bleed, not very nice. So always go in flat and just have the tweezers angled on the skin, and then you can remove the hair if you can. If it's just that little bit too short, you can pop some tea tree on, give it a couple of days, and that should prevent it going red and infected, but it means that you can grab that hair and get it out hopefully in a day or 2. And again, make sure that you keep these tweezers very clean in between treatments. These are automatic tweezers, and most therapists will be used to using these. Normally, if you're just doing your eyebrows or any tweezing at home, they're not something that you would come across. They tend to be angled, and once you get the hang of using them, you tend to absolutely love it. But to be honest with you, they're not very easy to use on yourself. They're much easier to use on someone else. So my number one piece of advice would be, don't try and tweeze your own eyebrows with these, because you will probably end up creating bald patches. But to use them, all you do is push on this area here and you get an automatic instant tweeze. And a lot of people say that they prefer it because it's quicker than actually doing it manually, where it can be quite painful if someone's trying to grab a hair and then lifting it. It can be quite uncomfortable. But with these, once you squeeze, the tweezer instantly removes the hair. The way that you practice when you're a therapist, just getting used to these, is you do work on your arm and you just go for a hair, you angle against it, and then see if you can remove the hair that you want to. The reason why we advise that you don't use these on your own eyebrows is when you're trying to work on an area and you're not used to it, you are attempting to remove a hair and you realise that it's not always easy to get the precision that you wanted. So it does take a little bit of time to get used to these. The other thing that makes them not ideal for using on your own eyebrows is that sometimes it's this area here can actually block you from seeing what you're doing. But for using them on someone else, they are excellent. And if someone doesn't want threaded or they don't want waxed, then they're ideal for removing the bulk of the hairs and just swap to your more precise standard tweezers just to remove any excess hairs that you want to have ultimate precision with. But if you are a therapist and you want to use all the different types of tweezers, then I'd advise that you get some of these for your kit. Now these are a different style of angled tweezer. Now I use these for individual eyelashes, but when you're doing your work, I've come across someone that was a dental nurse that's used them in their job, electricians use them, nail techs use them, so they're one style of tweezer that do many things. But when I was doing my training, our teacher actually advised us to use these for removing your individual eyelashes from their packaging. So for instance, here's some long ones here. Because they were ideal, you could have complete precision over where you were placing the individual lash. So of course you can use your standard tweezers, but I really do like these for when you're placing the individual eyelashes on the eyes, because if the client is just sitting in front of you, you can get them to close their eyes, and then all you need to do is just drop the lash on with the glue just straight onto the eye, and because you've got the tweezers at an angle, you can see everything that you're doing, as opposed to when you use your standard tweezers, you're coming in from the front. So if you do want to get these, I've never seen them for any more than around £5, but they're a great addition to any makeup kit. So to finish, just some hygiene information about cleaning your tweezers. Even if you cleanse them before you're going to use them again, it's always a good idea just to give them a wipe, possibly with surgical spirit if you've got it in the house, just a little bit on some cotton wool. If not, then some disinfectant, and just make sure you remove that. It's just to make sure that they're clean before you use them. If you did use them and they weren't clean, then when you remove the hairs from the follicle, you run the chance of getting an infection or create a spot there, some redness. So just make sure that you give them a quick clean before you use them again. And if you're a professional and you're using them in the salon, then you can use a strong disinfectant, or what we tend to use in the industry is something like barbicide, where you weaken this down in your barbicide cup, and then before you do a treatment, all your tweezers can sit in that for about 15-20 minutes, and it means that they're going to be completely sterile before you use them on a client. The other thing that you can do if you're a therapist and you're working professionally in a salon is make sure that you're killing off any bacteria, any infection, by sterilising your tweezers in an autoclave or a UV cabinet. But as long as you're making sure that you're sterilising before and after use, then you shouldn't be cross-contaminating and giving yourself any problems.